Hey all, welcome to Homeschool. Hope everybody are doing good. And welcome back to class 11 chemistry, the chapter chemical bonding and molecular structure. See, in my previous video, I discussed everything about valence bond theory. And in today's video, let us learn everything about molecular orbital theory. One of the important concept of PUC chemistry or class 11 chemistry. So don't forget to watch the video till the end because all your doubts on molecular orbital theory will get cleared with this particular video. Fine. See, valence bond theory told us how actually sharing of electrons takes place, right? See, sharing of electrons or covalent bond formation takes place when two atomic orbitals overlap with each other. Not only that, it gave us an idea about geometry of a molecule. That means shape of a molecule. Say how to predict the geometry, which molecule has what shape, how we can predict that. Hybridization can help us in knowing the geometry, isn't it? After all, hybridization is nothing but extension of valence bond theory. So we can learn many things based on valence bond theory, but still it has some limitation. Major limitation is it cannot explain about magnetic character of molecules. So let me start with limitation of valence bond theory, that is VBT. So the major limitation is it could not explain about what, guys? Magnetic property of molecules. So what do you mean by magnetic property of molecules? Magnetic property in the sense whether it can be diamagnetic or paramagnetic. I mean to say there are some molecules which gets attracted towards magnetic field. Such molecules are called paramagnetic molecules. Paramagnetic in the sense what, guys? Getting attracted towards magnetic field. Okay, fine. So in a similar way, we have another type of chemical species or molecules called diamagnetic molecules. So diamagnetic is just opposite to paramagnetic in the sense not getting attracted towards magnetic field. Okay, so like this we can divide molecules into two types based on magnetic nature. If the molecule has attraction towards magnet, we call paramagnetic. If a chemical substance or a molecule do not have attraction towards magnet, they are called as diamagnetic. So in our nature, there are many molecules which are actually paramagnetic. One such molecule is O2. So it was experimentally proved that O2 was paramagnetic. So why O2 was paramagnetic? So on what factor we can decide that O2 is a paramagnetic? Okay, so this is the factor or this is the point could not be explained by VBT. Right? So O2 has an ability to get attracted towards magnetic nature, magnetic field. That's why it is called as paramagnetic. But why? How do you decide the magnetic property? So what is making us to tell that this is behaving as paramagnetic? So the reason for this was not satisfactorily explained by VBT. So that is the reason we are learning molecular orbital theory. So the problem regarding magnetic property can be sorted out with the new theory called molecular orbital theory. So this theory was actually introduced by Mulliken and Hund. So these are the two scientists who has done extensive experiments behind the discovery of molecular orbital theory. So the main purpose of molecular orbital theory is to study about the stability of a molecule. It also explains everything about magnetic property of molecules or ions or species. Okay, and mainly it speaks about the existence of molecule. You can also decide like which molecule can exist in our nature, which one cannot be existed. You know, all that you can decide based on this theory. Okay, fine. So let us quickly go for the detailed aspects of molecular orbital theory. It's a very simple theory, guys. Just like atomic orbitals, you will find it in atoms, isn't it? So inside the atomic orbitals, you can observe the presence of electrons. Similar to that, in the molecule, you have so-called molecular orbitals. So here we are studying the concept of molecular orbitals. Okay, so what they say is, in the molecule, you have something called molecular orbitals. Just like in the atom you had atomic orbitals, in the molecule we will observe molecular orbitals. Right? Fine. So what is the use of these molecular orbitals? How do they form? That's what we are going to learn here. See, in our VBT, we studied that two atomic orbitals combine to form a covalent bond, isn't it? Say if you have to observe sharing of electrons between two atoms, atomic orbitals carrying single electrons must overlap with each other, right? Fine. For example, let me take O2 molecule. Fine. So this O2 molecule will form when two single oxygen atoms combine, isn't it? Okay. So which orbital of O combines with which orbital of this O? Outermost orbitals, outermost atomic orbital. Say, let me write its electronic configuration. 1s2, 2s2, 2p4, isn't it? See, I mean, the last orbital is 2p orbital. Again, 2p orbitals are actually of three types, right? Right? So this is 2px, this is 2py, and this is 2pz. Similarly, even in this oxygen atom, you know, you have your last electron in 2p orbital, right? Again, 2p orbitals, even here there are three, px, py, and pz. Right? Say 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Say usually the p orbital of this oxygen combines with the p orbital of this oxygen. That's how the orbitals overlap and then sharing of electrons takes place. Covalent bond is formed between these two guys and so O2 molecule is formed. This is what we studied so far. Right? So, and now, okay, the outermost one of the p orbital of this guy combined with one of the p orbital of this fellow. So sharing took place. What about the remaining orbitals of this atom? See, you also have two p orbitals. If one p orbital combined with one p orbital of this fellow, two p orbitals are left. Two p orbitals are left in this case, and you have 2s orbital. You have 1s orbital. Similarly, here you have 2s orbital, 1s orbital. So what would happen for those orbitals? Outermost orbital combine, okay, but inner orbitals are there. So what will happen for them? During O2 formation, what's happening with the inner orbitals of this fellow and that fellow, right? So this is what you will have to think of. And the theory says even these orbitals would combine. Okay, so all orbitals of this oxygen atom combines with all orbitals of this oxygen atom. That leads to the formation of very, very new type of orbitals called molecular orbitals. Once these molecular orbitals are formed, the total electrons present in a molecule again gets rearranged and they will try to occupy these molecular orbitals. Previously, this oxygen's electrons were there in atomic orbitals. This oxygen's electrons were there in different atomic orbitals. But now, both combined, you got O2. So, ultimately, in the O2 molecule, you actually have 16 electrons, right? 8 from this fellow, 8 from this fellow. So, altogether in O2, you have 16 electrons. So, where are the 16 electrons present? Now they are not in atomic orbitals. New orbitals got generated, isn't it? Every atomic orbital of this fellow combined with every atomic orbital of this fellow, it led to the formation of new molecular orbitals. So these 16 electrons are rearranged and they will occupy the new molecular orbitals. Okay, so the total electrons present in a molecule is again, it's newly gets rearranged, okay, in a different way. And where do they occupy? Where are they present now? They are occupying molecular orbitals, just like they have occupied atomic orbitals in an atom, right? Like that in a molecule, a new orbitals gets generated called molecular orbitals. And in them, you actually have different molecular orbitals. So in them, the total electrons gets rearranged once again. Okay, so this is what we are going to learn in molecular orbital theory. So very important, guys. So atomic orbitals are a very new orbitals that was introduced in the theory, and it is in these atomic orbitals the electrons gets redistributed once again, rearranged once again, okay, just in the increasing order of their energies. Okay, like electrons were arranged in the increasing order of the energies of atomic orbitals, isn't it? Like that, electrons now gets rearranged in the increasing order of molecular orbitals. Okay, so now let me give you the definition of molecular orbitals. What was the definition of atomic orbital? It was just the region around the nucleus where we have more probability of finding an electron, where we have more chances of finding an electron, isn't it? So similarly, we can give definition as region around the two nuclei, right? So in a molecule, you actually have two nuclei, one from this fellow, one from the other fellow, right? So it is, say, the two nuclei are there here. So it is that region around the two nuclei where we have maximum probability, that means chances, probability of finding electrons. Okay, so now in the around the two nuclei there are many molecular orbitals gets generated. So in the molecular orbitals the electrons gets arranged. Okay, so that is the main concept of molecular orbitals, and this is what the definition of molecular orbitals, right? Okay, so now we will try to understand the features or the various postulates of molecular orbital theory. See guys, the first point that you will have to keep in your mind is molecular orbitals are formed by linear combination of atomic orbitals. Linear combination of atomic orbitals. In short, we can call it as LCMO. Okay, sorry. LCAO, linear combination of atomic orbitals. Okay, so when two atomic orbitals combine, you get two new molecular orbitals. So very important point to remember under this, number of molecular orbitals formed is always equal to number of atomic orbitals combined. Okay, if two atomic orbitals are combining, you will get two new molecular orbitals. So don't ask me, ma'am, when two orbitals combine, it becomes one big no. No. Okay, it is not that concept. So just like in the hybridization we studied, right? Number of orbitals mixing is equal to number of hybrid orbitals formed. Just like that, number of atomic orbitals combined is equal to number of molecular orbitals formed. Okay, so what do you mean by this linear combination of atomic orbitals and how do they combine? See guys, for example, atomic orbital is nothing but what? Wave function, isn't it? So electron wave. Atomic orbital is just a region around the nucleus where we have maximum chances of finding electron. So electron always moves in the form of a wave. So atomic orbital is nothing but electron wave. Okay, it's like two atomic orbitals are combining, in the sense two electron waves are combining actually. Suppose let me take this as one electron wave, which I will call it as psi A. Okay, and can you tell me what is this point of a wave called? It is called as crust, isn't it? And this is called as trough, right? So what is this? This distance we will call it as amplitude. This distance is called as amplitude. Okay, fine. So this crust region I will indicate with plus sign. Trough region I will indicate with minus. Again, this is crust region, isn't it? Upward peak, right? So this is plus and this is minus. Fine. So now I have another wave. Okay. So this is one atomic orbital, that is, this is one electron wave and this is another electron wave, and I am combining both of them. Okay, let this electron wave be psi b. Okay, and even see, for example, this is plus, this is minus, this is plus, this is minus. Okay, see here, when plus combines with plus, that means when crust region falls on the crust region of another wave, we call this kind of combination as constructive interference. Okay, constructive interference. So all this you will learn it in physics, isn't it? Say two waves can combine in two different ways. One is they can combine by constructive interference, addition of wave, in the sense what? Plus sign falling with plus sign, in the sense crust falling on crust, trough falling on trough, crust falling on crust. That's right. Okay, in phase we will call this combination as in phase. Okay, plus plus. So this is one electron wave, this is another electron wave. So if they are combining like this, constructive interference, you get a very big wave with high amplitude. You look at the amplitude, it's very much high. Okay, so this is one molecular orbital, guys, and such a molecular orbital is called as bonding molecular orbital. So this is what we mean by bonding molecular orbital. So two electron waves, okay, so when they are added, okay, so let me write it here. So when psi A is added with psi B, addition means what? Crust falling on crust, trough falling on trough. So addition of two electron waves always gives you what type of molecular orbital? It will always gives you bonding molecular orbital. This is very, very important to understand, guys. Okay, fine. So this is one way of addition. See, now the other way of addition you see, guys. So, right. So this is plus, this is minus, this is plus, this is minus. Okay. So when this is added with something like this, okay. One second, let me make a change. This is actually crust, right? This is minus, this is plus. And again this is minus. Okay, so now you look at this, guys. This is minus, this is plus, right? So this is minus, this is plus. You see, minus plus is combining with minus. That means crust is falling on trough of another wave. So let me call this as psi A, this as psi B. Okay, so actually this kind of combination is called as destructive interference. So this is destructive interference. So this we can also represent as psi A minus psi B. This is what we call subtraction of waves. Okay, so whenever plus is falling on minus, that means crust is falling on trough, you know. So this kind of addition is called actually subtraction of waves. This is what we mean by subtraction of waves, and this is what we mean by addition of waves. Addition means what? Plus falling on plus. So this kind, if two waves are combined, this is called addition. So if two waves are combined something like this is called subtraction. Okay, or in other words, it can also be called as destructive interference. Okay, so when you have a destructive interference, you really get a very small wave with very small amplitude. Okay, so this is a molecular orbital which we call with the name anti-bonding molecular orbital. Okay, in short we will call ABO. That means anti-bonding molecular orbital, ABMO. Okay, so hope I'm clear with what I'm telling you. Okay, so two waves can combine in two ways. Okay, so if two waves are added like this, if there is an addition of two electron waves, you get bonding molecular orbital. Okay, if two waves are subtracted, I mean if you combine two waves something like this, plus falling on minus, you know, that gives you anti-bonding molecular orbital. So this is the way atomic orbitals can be combined. So psi A is one atomic orbital, psi B is another atomic orbital, which is nothing but electron waves. Okay, so if two atomic orbitals are mixed this way, you get bonding molecular orbital. If two atomic orbitals are mixed this way, you get anti-bonding molecular orbital. Okay, so like this, different molecular orbitals are formed. So mainly there are two types of molecular orbitals, guys. So one is bonding molecular orbital, the other one is anti-bonding molecular orbital. You see, actually how many orbitals are combining? Only two, no? So you have two option of combination here. They can either combine this way or this way. Okay, if they combine this way, bonding molecular orbital. If they combine this way, anti-bonding molecular orbital. So that's why I said number of atomic orbitals combined will always be equal to number of molecular orbitals formed. Okay, so if two atomic orbitals combined, two molecular orbitals are formed. So among them, you know, one is called bonding molecular orbital, the other one is called anti-bonding molecular orbital. So let's write that point now. See guys, second point that I'm writing is two types of molecular orbitals can be formed. When two atomic orbitals combine, two molecular orbitals are formed. You know, you call them as bonding molecular orbital, bonding molecular orbital. The other one is anti-bonding molecular orbitals. Always bonding molecular orbital have less energy and anti-bonding molecular orbital have high energy, guys. So this is very, very important. Okay, so the third one is notations for molecular orbitals. So there are various notations for molecular orbitals. Okay, so we write them in the form of sigma, sigma star, pi, pi star and all that. So you will understand about this little later, don't worry. Say just like in the atomic orbitals we had no s orbital, p orbital, d orbital and f orbital. So they are all different types of atomic orbitals, right? So just like that, you know, there are different types of molecular orbitals. You know, we represent them like sigma, sigma star, pi and pi star. Okay, fine. And you know, the fourth point which is important is atomic orbitals which have comparable energies only can combine. Okay, so atomic orbitals with comparable energies can combine. Okay, I mean to say s orbital of one atom can combine with s orbital of another atom. 2s orbital of one atom can combine with 2s orbital of another atom only. 2px can combine with 2px of another atom. Okay, like that. See, the atomic orbitals, whichever are combining, they should have equal energy. See, 1s orbital cannot combine with 2s. Both are ss, but 1 is 2s. There is a difference, right? So, 2p orbital cannot combine with 3p, like that. 1s of one atom can combine with oneness of another atom only, right? So that is what the meaning of this particular sentence. Okay, so and then fifth point is electrons are filled in molecular orbitals in increasing order of energy. Okay, so molecular orbitals have different energies, different orbitals have different energies. So electrons in a molecule, I told you, they get redistributed again, right? Now they are not present in atomic orbital. In a molecule you have so-called molecular orbitals. Now in molecular orbitals, electrons are getting rearranged. And how do they get filled up? They get filled up in the increasing order of energy. Okay, so here we will follow all the rules like Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity, Pauli's rule. Every rules we will follow to write the electronic configuration or to show the arrangement of electrons in different molecular orbitals. Okay, so now let us understand the formation of these molecules. Let us see how H2 molecule is formed, like how molecular orbitals are formed in H2 molecule, Li2 molecule, you know, C2 molecule, O2 molecule, like that. So when you study them, you will understand better with the concept. First, let me go for formation of H2 molecule. Okay, so I'm actually explaining you how actually the molecular orbitals are formed in H2 molecule. Fine. So there is a way of showing this, guys. We call this as energy level diagram. We also call this as energy level diagram of H2 molecule. Right? Okay. Fine. So let me start from bottom. Okay. So this is one hydrogen atom. This is another hydrogen atom. Right. So both when combined, you get H2 molecule. Okay. So how many orbitals are there in this hydrogen atom? What is its electronic configuration, guys? It is just 1s1, right? So here also you have 1s1. So 1s orbital, let me represent this way. 1s in the sense what? Just one box we will write. So here also you have 1s orbital. So this 1s orbital has got one electron. This also has got one electron. So when both of them combine, how many new molecular orbitals are formed, guys? If two atomic orbitals combine, two new molecular orbitals are formed, isn't it? So that you see how I will show. So here is, this represents that they are combining. This is one molecular orbital that is formed, and this is another molecular orbital that is formed. So I am showing this with increasing order of energy. Energy increases gradually like this. Okay, you see, this is anti-bonding molecular orbital, and this is bonding molecular orbital. Okay, I told you, this is one atomic orbital, this is another atomic orbital. They are combining. So two new molecular orbitals are formed. Among the two, one is called as bonding molecular orbital, which has got less energy. That's why I have written bottom. Okay. Other one is anti-bonding molecular orbital, which has got more energy. That's why we have mentioned this on top. See, energy is increasing this way, isn't it? Okay. See, bonding molecular orbital, it has got a notation, guys. We call this as sigma 1s. Okay, so this bonding molecular orbital is called with the name sigma 1s, and this is called with the name sigma star 1s. Okay, so this is the energy level diagram for H2 molecule. Right, okay. So now electrons, how many electrons are there in H2 molecule? H2 molecule has 2 electrons, right? Now these 2 electrons must arrange in these orbitals, right? So you have how many molecular orbitals? You have sigma 1s orbital and you have sigma star 1s orbital. Always anti-bonding molecular orbitals are represented with star sign. So whenever you have star in the sense, that is anti-bonding molecular orbital. Okay, so now I'm going to write the electronic configuration of H2 molecule. EC in the sense electronic configuration. So like I'm showing which electrons are present in which molecular orbital. So altogether in H2 molecule you have 2 electrons, right? So one from this atom, another one from this atom. So each molecular orbital has a capacity of accepting 2 electrons, just like atomic orbital. In each atomic orbital you can show 2 electrons, isn't it? Just like that each molecular orbital can accommodate 2 electrons. So where are the 2 electrons goes first? The orbital which has got lesser energy. Among the two, which orbital has got lesser energy? Sigma 1s. So both electrons will try to stay in bonding molecular orbitals. So these are the orbitals of H2 molecule, guys. So in the middle, whatever I write, they are the orbitals, molecular orbitals of molecule. So first sigma 1s is getting filled with 2 electrons. Okay, so you will write 2 here. So this is a way of writing electronic configuration for a molecule. Okay, so hope I'm clear with the concept. So sigma 1s 2, sigma star 1s 0. So this is the electronic configuration of H2 molecule. Right? Okay. So this is what important, guys, for both board examination as well as for competitive examination point of view. So writing electronic configuration for a molecule and showing energy level diagram for a molecule is most important concept. So once you have written electronic configuration, we can also calculate bond order. You remember what do you mean by bond order? It is nothing but number of covalent bonds present between 2 atoms is called bond order. So for that we have a formula to calculate half into NB minus NA. So what do you mean by NB here? NB is equal to number of electrons in bonding molecular orbitals. Na is nothing but number of electrons in anti-bonding molecular orbital. Okay, so let's calculate in this case half into how many electrons are there in bonding molecular orbital? Bonding molecular orbitals are those orbitals on which you don't have star. If you have a star, anti-bonding. If you don't have star, bonding. Okay. So how many electrons are there in bonding? It is 2. How many electrons are there in anti-bonding? It is 0. So 2 by 2, how much do you get? 1. So how many bonds are there between H and H, guys? In H2 molecule, how many bonds are there? There is 1. Looking at the bond order value, you can also decide whether a molecule exists in our nature or not. See, if bond order is 0, if you get a bond order is equal to 0, then it means that molecule do not exist in our nature. So this is how we can talk about existence of molecule. Not only that, we can also decide about magnetic property. So I told you one of the major advantage of this theory is deciding magnetic property, right? So how do you decide? So in in any of the orbital, it can be a bonding molecular orbital or anti-bonding molecular orbital. If you have a single electron, okay, so if single or unpaired electrons present in molecular orbitals, then the molecule or species is paramagnetic. Okay, if no unpaired electrons, all this you can note it down, guys, they are very much helpful. If no unpaired electrons in orbitals, then the molecule is considered as diamagnetic. Okay, so this is all about the concept. So with the hydrogen molecule, I have shown you how to write energy level diagram, how to write electronic configuration, how to calculate bond order, and how to decide magnetic property. So can you tell me whether H2 is paramagnetic or diamagnetic? You see the electronic configuration, orbitals are paired, yes or no? Unpaired means if you have a single electron in any of the orbital, then we say it is paramagnetic. But here you don't have any single electrons, right? So that is why we can say H2 molecule is diamagnetic. We say H2 molecule is diamagnetic, right? So this is the whole story of molecular orbital theory. Let's work it out for few more molecules. Let's try to write the energy level diagram for C2, N2, O2. Okay, so here the energy level diagram is very simple. You just had one orbital here, one orbital here. They combined, you got two. What if they had too many orbitals? How would they combine? All that you will have to show. Okay, so let us take one more species. First, let's go for lithium. Okay, and then we will go for p orbital containing species. I am talking about energy level diagram of lithium molecule, Li2 molecule. Let's see how this lithium molecule is formed. Okay, fine. So this is one lithium atom, this is another lithium atom. What is the electronic configuration? 1s2, 2s1, right? So here also 1s2, 2s1. Okay, so first 1s orbital of this lithium combines with 1s orbital of this lithium. So how many electrons the 1s orbital has? 2 electrons. Here also 2 electrons. So when 1s orbital of this lithium combines with 1s orbital of this fellow, how many new orbitals you will get, guys? When 2 atomic orbitals combine, 2 new molecular orbitals are formed. So what is the name of this orbital? It is sigma 1s, because 1s is combining, no? So sigma 1s. And anti-bonding molecular orbital is sigma star 1s. Okay, fine. So 1s combined with 1s. Now 2s will combine with 2s. So you have, this is 2s orbital of this lithium, which has got 1 electron, and 2s orbital of this fellow, which has got 1 electron. When these two atomic orbitals combine, definitely, what is our concept? When 2 orbitals combine, you get 2 new molecular orbitals. Okay, and now this is called as sigma 2s orbital. 2s orbital combined, no? This is bonding molecular orbital, lesser energy, this higher energy, anti-bonding molecular orbital. So its name is sigma star 2s. So these are the molecular orbitals of Li2. Okay, so now let's write the electronic configuration. Electronic configuration of Li2 molecule. So what are the molecular orbitals are there, guys? Come from the orbital which has got less energy. Least energy is shown by sigma 1s. Next, sigma star 1s. Next, sigma 2s. Next, sigma star 2s. So these are the 4 molecular orbitals you will observe in Li2 molecule. Okay, so now you will have to fill the electrons. How many electrons are there in Li2? It is 6, right? 3 from one lithium atom and 3 from another lithium atom. So total 6 electrons are there in molecule. Where do you show the 6 electrons? Fill from bottom. Each orbital can accommodate 2 electrons, right? So you will show here 2 electrons, here 2 electrons, 4 are over, then remaining 2 you will show here. Always they get filled, in the increasing order of their energy. That means sigma 1s had how many electrons, guys? 2 electrons. Sigma star 1s has got 2 electrons. And sigma 2s has got 2 electrons. And sigma star 2s, it's 0. Whenever 0 is there, even if you don't mention, it is understood that there are no electrons here. Okay, so this will be the electronic configuration of Li2 molecule. Okay, so now calculate bond order. So what is the formula for bond order? It is half into number of electrons in bonding molecular orbital minus number of electrons in anti-bonding molecular orbital. So half into, in bonding molecular orbitals, how many electrons are there? 2 plus 2, right? 4 minus anti-bonding means star, the orbital with star sign. So 2 electrons are there. So it is actually 2 by 2, that is 1. So how many bonds are there in lithium molecule? 1. Okay, so lithium molecule must have been something like this, right? So that is all about Li2's electronic configuration and bond order. And what about magnetic property? How do you check the magnetic property? You will see whether the orbitals, molecular orbitals, had single electron or double electrons. See, you're not supposed to check atomic orbitals. You have to check middle molecular orbitals, or better see the electronic configuration. If all orbitals are having completely filled, then it is diamagnetic. If any orbital has a single electron, then it will be paramagnetic. So here, these two are completely filled. This is empty. So we can write it as diamagnetic, right? So this is how you can decide magnetic nature of a molecule, bond order for a molecule, and writing electronic configuration. Okay, so now let us go for writing energy level diagram for C2 molecule. Okay, in a C2 molecule, you will have to show the combination of p orbitals also, right? So let's understand the formation of C2 molecule. See, for C2 molecule, okay, let me start from here. This is one carbon, this is another carbon. So what is the electronic configuration of this carbon? 1s2, 2s2, 2p2, isn't it? Here 1s2, 2s2 and 2p2. Okay, so first which orbitals combine, guys? 1s of this fellow combines with 1s of this fellow. So how do you show that? So this is 1s orbital of this fellow and this is 1s orbital of this carbon. If both combine, what do you get, guys? When both of them combine, you get 2 new molecular orbitals. Okay, so in this 1s, how many electrons are there? 2 electrons. In this 1s, you had 2. So 2 new molecular orbitals. What are their names? This is sigma 1s. This is sigma star 1s. Okay, so I have shown 1s combining with 1s. Now I will show 2s orbital combining with 2s orbital of this fellow. Even 2s orbital has got 2 electrons, isn't it? Okay, so when 2 orbitals combine, 2 new molecular orbitals are formed, right? So this we will call it as sigma 2s and this is sigma star 2s. Okay, so now 2p orbitals, how many p orbitals are there, guys? We have 3, isn't it? Px is there, py is there, pz is there. Even for this carbon fellow, we have 3 p orbitals. Px is there, py is there and pz is there. Okay, see, px of this fellow combines with px of this fellow. Py of this fellow combines with py of this fellow. pz of this fellow combines with pz of this carbon atom. Okay, so altogether how many molecular orbitals you get? Okay, so let me work out here. See, whenever you have px and px of another atom, both of them combine to give two molecular orbitals. We call them as pi 2px. Actually these are 2px, right? 2px. So pi 2px and this is pi star 2px. Okay, so 2px when combined with 2px of another atom, two new molecular orbitals are formed and you will call them as pi. You know, px, x, px and py, when they combine sideway overlapping, they always lead to the formation of pi bond, isn't it? So that's why this molecular orbital is called pi 2px, which is a bonding molecular orbital, and this molecular orbital is called pi star 2px, which is an anti-bonding molecular orbital. Okay, similarly whenever 2py combines with 2py, you will again get two new molecular orbitals. This was called as pi 2py and this is called as pi star 2py. This is how 2py combines. And now we have pz, right? 2pz when combines with 2pz, here also you will get new molecular orbitals. This we will call it as sigma 2pz and this is sigma star 2pz, because pz sideway overlapping, that always leads to sigma bond, no? That's why this bonding orbital was called sigma 2pz and this was called sigma star 2pz, right? So that means, see how many 3p orbitals combined with 3p orbitals. How many new molecular orbitals you had got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So what are their names? What are their names? Sigma 2pz, sigma star 2pz. You had got pi 2px, pi star 2px and pi 2py, pi star 2py. Like this, 6 new molecular orbitals you had got, right? So usually, you know, pi 2px energy is equal to pi 2py. Pi stars 2px energy is always equal to pi star 2py, guys. Okay, so now I'm actually combining 3p orbitals with 3p orbitals. So I will definitely expect 6 molecular orbitals. And I will arrange them according to their energies. Okay, so when we arrange them according to their energy, observe guys. Okay, so here I will place 2 orbitals. Actually they are pi 2px orbital and pi 2py orbital. Okay, I told you, no, pi 2px and pi 2py will have equal energy. That's why 2 boxes side to side I have shown. 2 molecular orbitals side to side. And they have the least energy compared to remaining 4. Altogether 6. Among the 6, the least energy is for these 2 guys. That's why they are written like this. Okay, bottom. And here you will have sigma 2pz, guys. Okay, so more than this, little more energy you will observe for sigma 2pz. And later, so these are bonding molecular orbitals. So among the six, which are bonding molecular orbitals, this is bonding, this is bonding, this is bonding without star, isn't it? Okay, so now anti-bonding. So here comes 2 boxes. Can you guess which are the 2 boxes? What are these molecular orbitals? Yes, pi star 2px and pi star 2py. And finally, the very highest energy having molecular orbital is sigma star 2pz. Okay, so this is how you will show the energy level diagram for C2. Okay, fine. So now let us fill the molecular orbitals. Let us try to write the electronic configuration. So hope you are clear how these 6 molecular orbitals are formed. just like this, px combining with px, two new molecular orbitals, these are their names. Py combining with py, these are the two new molecular orbitals. So pz combining with pz, these are the two molecular orbitals, that's their name, and this is how they are arranged according to their energy. Okay, and let's try to write the electronic configuration of carbon. See guys, if I have to write the electronic configuration of C2 molecule, okay, so first I will arrange these molecular orbitals in the increasing order of their energy. So first least energy is for sigma 1s, next highest energy is for sigma star 1s, and this one next is sigma 2s, right, sigma 2s, then sigma star 2s. After sigma star 2s, guys, you have two orbitals, two molecular orbitals with equal energy, right? What are they? One is pi 2px was equal to pi 2py, isn't it? Very good. After that, highest energy is for sigma 2pz. Later, you have these two orbitals, that is pi 2p, pi star 2px is equal to pi star 2py, and highest energy having molecular orbital is sigma star 2pz. So this is the sequence you have to follow. So what is the sequence? Sigma 1s, sigma star 1s, sigma 2s, sigma star 2s. After that, pi 2px is equal to pi 2py. Later sigma 2pz. Pi star 2px is equal to pi star 2py. Later sigma star 2pz. This is the sequence. So now how many total electrons are there in C2? 12 electrons, isn't it? So each carbon has 6, right? So like that in C2 you have 12 electrons. So now go on filling it. Go on filling it, guys. Each orbital can have 2 electrons, right? First 2 electrons you will show. Later 2. Here 2, here 2. How many electrons are over? 2 plus 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So out of 12, 8 are over. Remaining is 4, isn't it? So I'll show 2 here, I'll show 2 here. So 2 plus 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is the electronic configuration. So here how do you show? Say here 2 electrons, here 2 electrons, here 2, here 2, 8 are over, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right? So till here electrons are filled. Remaining molecular orbitals are empty. So this is the way of writing electronic configuration. See guys, for every molecule you have to do something like this only. Okay, so this is the sequence and this is the energy level diagram that you will follow for the species, having 14 electrons and below 14 electrons. Okay, see actually carbon C2 molecule has got 12 electrons. It comes below 14. So any species which has got 14 electrons or below 14, then this is the sequence you have to follow. So if I say for the competitive exam, they'll ask you something like this. N2 molecule, what is the electronic configuration? You no need to put entire energy level diagram. Energy level diagrams are important to show for board examination, but writing electronic configuration, calculating bond order and deciding paramagnetic nature is important for competitive exams. Okay, if you want to calculate bond order, you should know electronic configuration. If you want to decide about magnetic property, you should know electronic configuration. Okay, so for 14 electron species and below 14, this is the way of writing electronic configuration. Okay, you see, if they had asked N2 molecule electronic configuration or N2 plus molecule or N2 plus 2 molecule. Okay, so in N2 molecule, how many total electrons are there? 14. N2 plus, N2 had 14, plus in the sense remove 1. So 14 minus 1, 13. So N2 plus 2 is how many electron species? 14 plus 2 in the sense minus 2. 14 minus 2, 12. So for 14 electron, 13 electron, 12 electron, this is the sequence you will have to follow. See how I will write for N2 molecule. Okay, so N2 molecule has 14, no? So here already I have shown 12. Okay, so still 2 more electrons I have to show. I'll use it here, 2 electrons I'll put there. And I have to show N2 plus molecules electronic configuration. It is a 13 electron species now. So till here is 12. 13 means in this orbital you have only one electron. Okay. So tell me N2 plus whether it is paramagnetic or diamagnetic. Electronic configuration I have written. You see, I can find a single electron, right, in an orbital. So whenever single electron is there, I can say that N2 plus is paramagnetic. Paramagnetic. Okay, so very simple, right? So you need to remember the sequence, guys. For 14 electron or below 14 electron species, this is the sequence. So for any molecule, when they ask you to write electronic configuration, this is the way to write. And if they had asked you whether it is paramagnetic or diamagnetic, check. If any orbital has a single electron, tell it as paramagnetic. If it doesn't have a single electron, if all orbitals have 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, then it is diamagnetic. Bond order, calculate half into number of electrons in bonding orbital minus number of electrons in antibonding. Right? So very simple. So now, what is the sequence for above 14 electrons? So copy down, guys. These are very, very important. Sequence for writing electronic configuration for species having more than 14 electrons. More than 14 electrons. Like, for example, O2 is there. How many electrons are there in O2? It is actually 16, isn't it? F2 molecule is there. How many electrons are there? 18. N2 minus is there. N2 14, minus in the sense add 1 electron. So it is a 15 electron species. So whenever molecule or ion has got more than 14 electron, then you should follow this sequence. Just similar to this goes here, this comes here. Okay, just exchange of these two takes place. See, energy level diagram for above 14 electron species I am showing now. So here comes, sigma 2pz, and here comes the two boxes. What are they? Pi 2px and pi 2py. This is the only change, guys. So here the position gets exchanged. So what is the sequence I can write here? Sigma 1s, sigma star 1s, sigma 2s, sigma star 2s. So after sigma star 2s, which one will come? This one will come. Sigma 2pz, sigma star 2p, not sigma star, this one. Pi 2px is equal to pi 2py. Later comes pi star 2px is equal to pi star 2py. And finally, sigma star 2pz. So this is the sequence you will have to follow for above 14 electron species. Okay, so above 14 electron species. For example, okay, so I have asked you to write the electronic configuration of O2. So O2, how many electron species it is? 16 electron species, right? So now I'll follow this sequence. I'll write this sequence and I'll start filling the electrons. Each orbital's capacity is 2. So this has 2 electrons, this 2, this 2, this 2, this 2. How many are over? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 is over, right? So 10 is over, and 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so you are not supposed to show 2 electrons here. Okay, because both have equal energy, no? Both will get filled with 1 electron first, later only pairing takes place. Okay, so this is the electronic configuration of O2 molecule, guys. Okay, so hope the concept is clear, right? Fine. And now they'll ask you whether O2 molecule is diamagnetic or paramagnetic. Look at the electronic configuration. See that here you have single electron, isn't it? Right? So whenever the molecular orbitals have single electron, definitely it is paramagnetic. So now you understood, right? Why O2 is paramagnetic? Actually, this was the limitation of VBT, no? VBT could not explain why O2 was paramagnetic. But you see, based on molecular orbital, you can tell which molecule is paramagnetic and diamagnetic. It is based on the single electrons or unpaired electrons. Okay, or they'll ask you calculate bond order in O2. Okay, so how would you calculate? Half into number of electrons in bonding molecular orbitals. How many? 2, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? 10. Number of electrons in antibonding. 2, 2, 4, 5, 6, right? So it is half into 10 minus 6, it is 4, you will get 2. So in O2 molecule, number of bonds is 2. So this is how we can calculate bond order, right? So this is the application of molecular orbital, guys. So the major thing to remember is the sequence. So this is the sequence for a 14 electron species or below 14, and this is the sequence for above 14 electron species. That's all about molecular orbital, guys, nothing much. So hope you are clear with the concept. So now you can take a homework question, guys. So your homework is try to write electronic configuration, decide magnetic property and calculate bond order for O2 plus molecule, N2 minus 2 molecule, then O2 plus molecule and F2 molecule. Okay, so this is a practice for you. Do it at home. Okay, at least you can tell the magnetic character and the bond order in these particular species in the comment section. Maybe it's very difficult to type electronic configuration, but you can definitely tell about the magnetic nature and the bond order for these species, right? So you decide how many electron species it is. According to that, select a sequence, write electronic configuration. Then if you have a single electron, tell it as paramagnetic. If you have all paired electron, tell it as diamagnetic, and also calculate the bond order. So this is the homework for you guys. So this is the most important topic. Revise carefully, study carefully. If you have any doubts, you can post it in the comments. Okay, so with this, I will complete molecular orbital theory, guys. And there is one small concept remaining, that is hydrogen bonding. See guys, hydrogen bonding is a very small concept, nothing much. It's a kind of attraction you will always find between hydrogen and the most electronegative elements of the periodic table. That is between hydrogen and fluorine, hydrogen and nitrogen, and hydrogen and oxygen. So an attraction between hydrogen and fluorine, hydrogen and nitrogen, and hydrogen and oxygen is called hydrogen bonding. For example, you see, this is one HF molecule, this is another HF molecule, this is another HF molecule. So this is molecule 1, this is molecule 2, this is molecule 3. You see here, F of this molecule, H of this molecule. Between them, there is a slight attraction. Similarly, F of this molecule and H of this molecule. Between them, you have slight attraction. So that attraction itself, we will call it as hydrogen bonding. Okay, got to know? So usually this hydrogen bonding is represented with a dotted line. It is that extra attraction created in a molecule. Actually, it is because of this attraction, you know, HF is more stable. If hydrogen bond is there, you will also expect high melting and boiling points in the molecule. Okay, actually you see here, this is one molecule, this is second molecule, this is third molecule. Hydrogen bonding is formed between the molecule, right? So this kind of hydrogen bonding is called intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Intermolecular hydrogen bonding, guys. Okay, so if the hydrogen bonding is between the molecule, it is called intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Okay, and you have another type of hydrogen bonding. You observe this. So here I have OH group, and here I have, you know, NO2 group. Say that this whole thing is one big organic molecule, guys. You see, this hydrogen and this oxygen is very near, right? So you always have a chance of creating hydrogen bond between hydrogen and oxygen if they are near. So definitely between this H and this O, you can observe hydrogen bonding. See, within a molecule, this attraction is formed. So such a attraction is called intra. Intra means within. Okay, this is intramolecular hydrogen bonding. Okay, it is not between one molecule and another molecule. Within a molecule itself, the hydrogen bonding is created between this H and this O. Okay, so this is intra and this is inter. Okay, hope you are clear with the difference between intra and inter. So that's what. There is no rocket science involved in hydrogen bonding. Very simple. It's a kind of attractive force that can be created between hydrogen and fluorine if they are near, hydrogen and nitrogen, and hydrogen and oxygen. Say two types are there, intermolecular and intramolecular. If this attraction is created between the molecules, this is one molecule, this is second, this is third. Between the molecule, you have that attraction. That is called inter. Within the molecule, there is an attraction. That is intra. That's all. So that's all about the chapter chemical bonding and molecular structure. So once all the chapters are completed, I will come up with competitive questions. Okay, the questions that can be asked for competitive examinations. Okay, so meet you all with the next chapter. Thank you so much. Keep learning and do subscribe our channel to learn the concepts in an easiest way. Thank you so much.